I want to become extremely practical. And by the end of this session, I want to give you something to take away that you can use for the rest of your lives, I hope, in order to manage and monitor your own behaviors. So I'm going to give you an example of this from my own life. It really happened to me. I was wanting to get to know the daughter of my husband. He was divorced. The daughter of my husband better. And this was very, very important. So I invited her, she was a 20-year-old, I invited her to come with me to the Blue Note Jazz Club in Milan. Great place. I thought, you know, the girls can have an evening together, we can bond. And that night, the Manhattan Transfer, which is one of my favorite singing jazz groups, was performing. So I thought, this is the perfect evening. So I organized everything, and we went to the club, and we were relaxing. And then Manhattan Transfer came on stage, and this was a great moment, because for me it was that, yeah. So they started singing, and I looked at her, because, you know, I was hoping that she was feeling the same things as me. I looked at her, and what did I see? I saw this. She was on her iPhone. Now, I had some choices. First choice. On seeing this. Excuse me. I mean, I spent all this time and energy and money organizing a beautiful evening with this young woman, trying to create a great relationship with her. And what does she do? She's on a bloody iPhone. I mean, what is wrong with this generation? I mean, they've got an attention span like a bloody firefly. God. First reaction. Second choice. This was a mistake. I should never have brought her here. She doesn't like the music. Well, why should she like the music? I mean, this is music for baby boomers. She probably thinks she's having an evening with a dinosaur. Oh my God. Third choice. Take a deep breath. Count to 10. Don't react. You don't know what she's doing on her iPhone, so just take it easy. Have another drink. Fourth choice. You know what is really important for me? Is to have an evening and create an atmosphere where she feels that she can open up to me, that she can trust me, that she can always come to me when she has troubles. I really do want to create an atmosphere where things are going to work and move forward, because this is important for me, for my husband, and for her. So I want to try everything I can do to make this work. Choice number 5. What's important for her? What does she need now, right now, in this moment? What does she need in her relationship with me? What does she need? Now, I was having to think about that for a long time. And whilst I was thinking about it, she came to me and she said, "Hey, Louise, did you know that there are several clubs, several Blue Note clubs all over the world? There's 2 in Japan, and there's 1 in Europe, and it's in Milan. Do you realize the Italians have got it? And then she said, oh, by the way, the Manhattan Transfer have been singing together for 40 years. That's incredible. How do they do that? 40 years. And then she said, look, she had written, I'm in the Blue Note Club with Louise and the Manhattan Transfer, the best, on Facebook. Now, that was a tight squeeze, because if I had reacted to her from this red chair, in that moment, I could have damaged something which was really important for me. If I had gone even a micro behavior, which could have been as simple as, thinking, excuse me, that behavior would have arrived to her and she would be thinking, okay, Louise, she's controlling. I probably won't be able to be myself around her, so I can't be myself around her. I have to be careful. And that was not what I wanted at all. But she, in her digital way, she was with me. She was multitasking. Okay, I know neuroscience says that multitasking is not possible and it doesn't work. However, she was in her digital world, but she was with me. So the 5 chairs are here to remind us, or to help us. They're like a mirror. Help us realize that in every moment we have a choice about how to come into the world and how to behave. What I'd like to do is, I'm going to go into the chairs a little bit deeper, using another example, because every chair has a color, has a name, has an animal metaphor, and also an object, and a quotation, just so that we don't forget them, okay? And this is something actually which I've been developing for the last 8 or 9 years. I'm using it a lot in companies for training, for leadership, in retail, for the emotional client experience. And I was inspired to develop this when I went on a course of nonviolent communication. Does anybody know Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg? No? Okay. He died, unfortunately, about 3 years ago, but the method of nonviolent communication is so powerful that I thought I need to find a way to create a model and bring it into our organizations. So let's take an example of retail, and we'll get into this a bit deeper, and I'll explain the chairs. Let's take an example of, because we talk a lot about, okay, the neuromarketing is extremely important to get people into the shop, or into shops, for example. Let's imagine we're in Xenia. I mean, top quality, 5-star luxury menswear. And I am the shop assistant, okay? And two people come in, a couple. Now, I will react to the couple from the chairs, and we'll dig down into the chairs, because what we're talking about also is, as soon as you get into the store, the emotional experience that you have with the assistant is massively important, because very often people buy people first and everything else after. So giving a customer an amazingly strong emotional experience as a shop assistant is important. However, it's an art. So let's look what happens in the different chairs. Chair number 1. Bzz, because that's what we do, isn't it? With people, with behaviors, with people. Somebody comes in the room and we go bzz, and then we go like them, don't like them, not really interested. Next. Bzz. Like him. Do I know anything about these people? No. We're in system 1. So, what happens in this chair here? Bzz. They must be Russians. I mean, look at those heels, excuse me. They are so kitsch. How the hell can you walk in a pair of shoes like that? And look at the way he's dressed. I mean, is there not one man in Russia that knows how to dress? It's just amazing. No wonder they come to Italy. They have a lot to learn. And And look at them, poker face. Bah. I mean, you'd think that the Russians had suffered, or that's all they do is suffer. They never smile. I mean, God, it's going to be such a pain in the neck, this whole thing. It's going to take ages. But anyway, I can see that they've got money. So this could be an opportunity for me. So I'm going to pounce as soon as I can. Ooh. Okay. Let's have a look at that one. This is the first chair, the jackal chair. Okay? Now, every time you are in this chair, and let me show you the object related to this chair, because as I said, each one has, and this is one of my favorites. Right. Okay? Now, every time, what do we do in this chair? These are all the games that we love playing, which are things like judging. Do you ever judge? No. Yeah. Okay, so I want to test you on this. I want you to try and spend 1 hour in the presence of some human beings without judging at all. 1 hour. Impossible, I know, exactly. Yeah. Right, what about this one? Complaining. I mean, bloody Russians, you know. They come here, and they're so demanding, and, you know, have to bring all the stuff out, and then they don't like them. Complaining. Gossiping. You know the Russians, do you know? Have you ever had you know about the Russians. The guy was in there with her. I don't know what up to. Crazy. Toxic. Defending. Nothing to do with me. There's something wrong with that dress. It's nothing to do with me. I'm right and you're wrong. Of course. You know, I'm the sales assistant and I'm right and they're wrong. They have no idea about fashion, the Russians. The blame game, it's all your fault. This is actually very interesting. Research has been done that this is the most toxic behavior in all companies. Finger pointing. Mm-hmm. It was you, wasn't it? Yeah. He just said, yeah. So now what we're going to do? Punish. That's the best part. As soon as we punish him, yeah? And of course, then what is the impact of that type of behavior? What are people thinking about you when you're blaming and shaming? Very uncomfortable behaviors. But if we could only just consciously reduce the amount of times we say, and you know, fascinating, you know how we usually blame people? It's with questions. Questions which start with why, who. So it's like, why did you do that? And in Italy, it's wonderful, because the Italians, you go, why did you do that? You have a lot of fantastic non-verbal, yeah, which is really, really good, yeah? Or things like, ma chi te l'ha detto? This thing, ma chi te l'ha detto? And it's interesting, but who told you? Things like that. All of these phrases are actually very difficult to say in a normal voice. So anytime we're saying, why didn't you tell me? They're all blame questions with the impact. Can you promise me never to do that again? Please, for the rest of your lives. Okay. So these are all toxic behaviors which come out of the jackal. So we're usually out of our minds because we're in our emotions. Our behavior tends to be rational. It's a bit like, you know those snow globes, when you shake a globe and it's got snow in it? That's sort of what's happened to our brain. The amygdala is firing off in our brain and we become irrational. And that's how we behave into the world. Bzz. They must be Russians. Oh my God. This is going to be really difficult because I don't know how to handle the Russians. And I don't speak Russian. And I don't even speak English very well. And I haven't done a course on sales. And what's going to happen is that and nobody likes me. So nobody comes to me in the shop. They always go to everybody else. And then I'm not going to make my sales figures. So I might as well just commit suicide. Okay. So the animal in this chair is very vulnerable, and you just saw it. What was it? The hedgehog. So this here is the hedgehog chair, and it's called the self-doubt chair. Okay, so when we are in this chair, we have, by the way, I didn't show you the quote here just quickly back, because each chair has a quote as well. The first quote was, the more we judge people, the less time we have to love them. So, Mother Teresa. Okay, let's move on and have a look at the quote of the hedgehog. I love this. Nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. You can see these two chairs here are chairs that are holding us back in life. This chair says here, you made me angry. And this chair is like, the jackal chair is turned on itself, like I self-sabotage, I criticize and judge myself, okay, with all the results. Let's move on. Object. Oh, right. I'm not going to tell you the animal, you have to guess it this time. Bzz. They must be Russians. They must be Russians. I need another one of those. Okay, so. Wait. W-A-I-T. What am I thinking? I'm thinking that the Russian. No. What am I telling myself? I'm telling myself I won't be able to make it. No. Wait. Take it easy. Calm down. Self-control. Get prepared. Observation. Emotionally stable. I'm ready. Now, in this chair, we're taking control of our emotions and ourselves. The animal in this chair is fabulous. The animal in this chair usually stands like this, and it will spend 1 hour on sentinel duty looking after its family. South Africa comes from South Africa, and in fact, the jackal, which also lives in South Africa, is the predator of this animal here. It stands like this, very still, very clever, lives underground. What is it? Almost. You're thinking the dog prairie, but not exactly. Think of the King Re Leone, King Timon, yes, that's right, yeah. But nobody knows the name of this in English or even in Italian. Suricato, yes, well done. Fantastic. So in this chair we are, beautiful. I mean, if you watch these animals, they are absolutely extraordinary. Do you know that this animal will eat the most poisonous insects in the world, which are scorpions, and it neutralizes the poison? And in fact, that's what we're doing here in this chair. As a trigger comes at us, another behavior which triggers us, it's a bit like, who's seen the film Matrix? Matrix. Yeah. So it's the red pill, the blue pill. We always have a choice. This is the chair of choice. I can go there with all the consequences, and I can go there, which is another world. But it's my choice. This chair here says, you made me angry. This chair says, nobody can make me do anything, because that is my choice. And in fact, look at this wonderful quote here. I remember the first time I read it. It's in Viktor Frankl, who was an Austrian psychologist, spent 2.5 years almost in a concentration camp, and he came out alive, and wrote a beautiful book called In Man's Search for Meaning. everything can be taken from man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. So this is so powerful, because very often we're not present and we're not conscious, so we end up here. Now, if that happens, can we quickly take our consciousness and get out of this chair and move at least here? Because that chair, the red chair, is full of suffering, it's full of conflict, tension, pain, diseases, the more you sit in that chair, yeah? This chair is the midpoint. We're in the midpoint of the journey here. There is so much work to do here. It's mindfulness, it's yoga, it's taking a 5-minute break. Right. So now we're ready to move on, because we're moving into conscious living, into conscious leadership, and moving away from unconscious behaviors, or we're trying to, you know. So this is, and let's just have a look. Here, what we talked about was, we're looking at, what am I thinking, what am I telling myself? We're beginning to come into consciousness, we're suspending judgment, we're looking for emotional stability, that takes time to learn to do. We're observing, we're curious, this is so important. If you are curious, for example, I keep picking on you, sorry. He's angry, yeah? He's going, now, I have a choice how I react to him. From this chair, it would be, oh, for God's sake, what's the matter with you? Grow up. From this chair. This chair would be, he's angry. Bye. I can't deal with that. This chair is obviously, he's angry. Wow. Well, that's interesting. I mean, there must be a good reason why he's angry, because we don't do anger for fun. So it's a bit uncomfortable, but I want to try and find out why he's angry. So in this chair, we are curious, we're open, we're asking questions, we're trying to keep the relationship open. In this chair, what do? We shut it down. Vroom. Think about yourselves, yeah? When you, you know, in a typical situation at home when you have an argument. What do? You know, so the body starts heating up, temperature's rising, and you know you're about to misbehave, but you can't hold it. What do? Because this is behaviors from this chair, the 3 ones. Do you shout back and which is the fight? Or do you do this? Stop talking and close down? Or do you do this? Because, you know, when we translate this chair into normal conversations, it's a problem, because the amygdala we have that fires off is old brain technology. We can't update it. This is a problem. So if I'm in conversation, you again, with him, and let's say it's a conversation like, I don't know, Trump. Yeah, he loves Trump, and I hate Trump. Okay, so we're in this conversation, and things begin to get a little bit hot, you know. What happens to us? Exactly the same thing happens in a normal conversation. He is not a bear, and he is not going to kill me. I mean, he might love Trump, but he's still a human being, and he's not a threat to my existence. But the way we behave is I feel threatened by his ideas. We get attached to ideas, and this is an issue. Really, it takes a lot of consciousness and self-control to move in that split second when you see you're just tipping your behavior off into something which is unproductive. So we're getting into another world here. Whoa, this is a big chair. So it's like bzz, Russians. Okay, so it's always good to have a bit of this. Russians, okay. Okay, so what's very important for me right now is to pull out my cultural intelligence. I want to behave in a way which is going to be appropriate. I need to change my approach. It can't be this approach, it's got to be careful. I need to shadow them. I've noticed that it's a woman and a man. So I'm a woman. I need to make sure that I pay attention to her and not to him. Otherwise, that is going to cause stress, because I know very often it's the Russian women who are buying clothes for their men. I wonder why. That was a jackal. Notice that jackal that came in. So what I need to do is to stay professional, is to shadow them, to be there, and to know exactly when to move in and bring them as many things as they need to. I need to find a way which is appropriate to make them feel comfortable. That is important for me, and that'll allow me to take them into a sale, hopefully. Now, what's going on in this chair? In this chair, I know who I am, I know what I want, I have skills in the world, and I'm assertive. I'm not aggressive, but I'm assertive. Now, there is a wonderful creature in this world, which, let me show you the object, because I think this might help you understand. This is basically the chair where you look at yourself and you think, oh God, either you think, bloody hell, and you have a jackal with it. No, you think, wait a minute, how am I feeling and what do I need? What is important for me here? Now, if you hold a mirror to a dog, what does the dog see? Another dog. This creature here, if you put a mirror to it, it sees itself. What is it? It's, yeah, not a chimpanzee, yes, too close to us. Okay, let me give you a few other ideas. It's also extremely intelligent. It has extraordinary communication skills. Almost. Elephant is also an animal that when it looks in the mirror, it sees itself. Yes, a dolphin. Okay, dolphin, extraordinary animal. So we're in the dolphin chair, and the dolphin chair is the detect chair. Here. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So we're into conscious living here, is trying in every moment to think about what am I bringing into the world with my behaviors. Because if I snap at somebody, if I change my voice, if I have challenging or demand energy, it's going to have an impact on me and on the other people and on the culture of my team, on the culture of my family, on the culture of the organization. How, I ask you, we're working so hard. Most of our lives we dedicate to organizations. I mean, think about it. We go, we go to organizations at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. We go home at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening. We have 2 or 3 hours with the people we really love, the people who are the most important people in our lives. And what do? How do we go home to them? I mean, are you dumping your stuff on your family? Are we, etc.? I mean, are we consciously thinking about what we are doing? 80% of our lives is given to organizations, 10% to the people we love. We're going to make sure that 10% is beautiful when we go to our families. So this is a lot about checking up on why we're here as human beings. So self-awareness, responsibility, beautiful, the word, responsibility. It is our ability to respond to life. And we have many choices. Like accountability, it is our ability to account for our behaviors. So we're in high responsibility. We're here. We're aware of our needs. If I'm angry, if I'm sad, it is not because I'm right or wrong. This chair is all about I'm right and you're wrong. No, this chair says there is no right or wrong. It's about I have needs and you have needs. And they can be different. So life is about negotiating needs rather than separation into right and wrong. So the questions we're asking ourselves here is what's important for me? What are my feelings? What are my needs? And what can I do? So we're into a chair where you're not afraid to have crucial conversations. How many of you right now have some conversations in your life which you're not having because you're afraid to? Because maybe they're a bit too difficult, because maybe you're afraid of upsetting the relationship. The dolphin chair And this is actually, the colors of these chairs come from the chakras. So the energy centers of the body. The red chair is from the genital area, very appropriate. The hedgehog chair is the stomach. The meerkat, the green center is the center of the heart. Beautiful, this one. The blue is the center of the throat, which is self-expression, which so often we're not taught to speak up and speak our truth. Well, I mean, I was born in England, and in England, what you're taught is children are to be seen and not heard, which is a bit complicated, when you're growing up, So you lose your voice, you don't have a voice. Very, very important. And this is the chair of assertiveness, and it can take a long time to learn. But it's about clarity, is I speak to you about my feelings and about my needs so that you know me, so that you don't misinterpret me. I'm not ambiguous with you, and I will take risks in order to keep clarity between us. Okay, and the last and most complicated one. No, not yet, I can't show you. So, the Russians. What's important for them? I've been to Russia. I noticed that in Russia, people don't smile. And there's a reason for that, is they will only smile when they trust you. And that's not surprising after 70 years of authoritarianism. Smiling at people you don't know, knowing that maybe there's somebody in plain clothes who's spying on you. So that's important to respect. I put myself in their shoes and I think, well, they're so used to coming here and people going, Russians, a lot of money, yeah, pounce. I need to be professional and careful with them. They don't speak English very well. That can feel very uncomfortable when you're adults, so I need to use a little bit of my Russian, even though my pronunciation is not very good, but maybe some words, simple words like spasiba, or do svidaniya, or how do you say hello? Привет, which is hi, and what's the other one? Здравствуйте. So, in this chair, I'm really trying to understand them. Now, what is the animal which is appropriate for this? I want to put myself in their shoes and imagine what it's like to be them right now. It's the empathy chair. A camel? No. It's the animal. This animal has the biggest organ of all land animals. One organ, this big. An organ. Lives in the savannah. All right then. Somebody said, I said, what's this animal? They said, it's a zebra. I thought, yep. It's all about perception. So here we're into the world of the giraffe. The giraffe has the biggest heart of all land animals, the longest legs, and the tallest neck. Incredible vision. It's also a nomad. It has no home. It doesn't need a home. And it's a vegetarian, too. So, wonderful thing Abraham Lincoln said. He said, I don't like that man, which I don't like the Russians. I must get to know him better. I must get to know them better. How many times has it happened to you when you've met a person, you've gone, oh, I don't think so, no, thank you. And then you find them sitting next to you, at lunch or something, it's like, oh my God, oh, Jesus. You start the conversation, and then it's like, oh, actually, this is a decent human being. I mean, we're very judgmental, aren't we? Sorry, no, that one there. So here we're into probably the most difficult chair of all. It's the chair of empathy. It's what we need so much in the world today, and we have so little of. It's the Connect chair. Here. and we're into empathy, this is where we have to pull out, time's up, our social, our cultural, and all our intelligences in order to read situations, yeah? Being aware of other people's needs. I mean, in the Western world, we're very I focused. And here we have to put the ego, our egos, on the back burner, basically, to think about other people. The Dalai Lama says, I mean, these wonderful translators at the back there, they're doing simultaneous translation, which is so hard. It's like empathy. And in fact, usually you can only do it for 20 minutes. And then the brain just frazzles, so they have to change over. There's so much concentration. It's the same with this empathy chair. When you're in empathy, you're only thinking about the other person. You're only trying to understand. You're not interfering or adding things. You're just listening in a deep way. So ultimately, and the questions here is, you ask yourself, what's going on in them? What's important for them? What can I do in this situation to make us work, let's say. Now, so what about this? My invitation to you is, this is a mirror to act as a behavioral monitor, basically. You will go through a day where maybe you get up in the morning and you think, fantastic, I'm feeling great, yeah. And then you get in the car and go driving. Well, you usually end up in the jackal chair. That's easy. You know, it's like somebody cuts in front. What? Oh. And you think, oh, what am I doing? I just started the day and look at me. So, and somebody calls you and they say, thank you so much for the presentation you prepared for me. It's given me so much ease. And you're feeling, empathy for that person too. And then all of a sudden, somebody bangs into the back of your car. So you end up down here. We're doing it all the time. In every moment, we have a choice. And very often, we're going to end up here unconsciously. How quickly can we get our consciousness and at least come back into this chair and go, I want to live here. This is conscious living. This is where happiness and successful living occurs. We need to turn the volume. We'll never stop judging. We need to just turn the volume down on these chairs here. And remember, when you go home at work, don't dump, because our families are so important. Can we stay in conscious living and give the very best of ourselves to the people who are most important to us? If you'd like to read more, there's a book, 5 Chairs, 5 Choices on Amazon, and a TEDx just for you to practice. So good luck. And how does it relate to this? I think it's maybe helping people to, in the retail world, for example, I work a lot in the retail world, is how do you give an amazing emotional client experience to people who walk into the store so that they love you and the brand? It's the same in luxury hotels. You can be in the most beautiful hotel, but if you have somebody behind the reception desk who says, good evening, can I have your passport, please? Rather than somebody says, good evening, how are you? Did you have a good journey? Is this your first time here? Would you like a glass of water? And you'll think, oh my God, they've seen me. I'm not just a passport. So it's the whole human factor. Can we try and increase the human factor more? I've gone over time.